car sales, keeps nice and neat, nothing wrong with that,
Yep.
okay? Can I put one down that road?
No?
Of course not, of course you can't. You know, because we're gonna pick and choose again.
No, I don't have an issue with
Mr.
that.
Augur, I applaud you for coming here. I do. I'm happy you're here voicing your
Mhm.
opinion. Could you at least give us the opportunity, the board, to speak to the zoning board about your issue? And before
Yes.
we can, you know, because we didn't hear the other side of the story. But I applaud you for coming
Okay.
and voicing your opinion here, because people don't do it in Messina.
Because
I wish they would.
my issue is 36 foot short, but I got one way of fixing it.
So then
All I
why
have
don't
to-
you?
Huh?
Why don't you?
Because all I have to do is buy the other property beside me.
Well,
The
we,
most
you
property.
own the.
Well, so if I buy that one, the extra one that went back to the bank, that's gonna give me more than that 36 foot. Then what are they gonna say? What's the excuse then? That's what I wanna know from Mr. Henry Collins. Why do,
So-
all right, so I go buy it, and what are they gonna say? Hey, screw you.
Well,
No.
okay, so the issue here is the chairman of the zoning board of appeals?
Yes.
Well,
I want him
Mr. Ogwell
here.
believes that's the issue.
We need to
The-
talk
the
to
chair-
him.
Right, the chairman will tell you it was rejected because the lot was undersized.
But it really.
So if he says, if he buys the lot next door and combines the two into one lot, can he then go back for the?
But is that the only issue, or are there more issues, obviously?
From what I've been told, it's just the size of the lot was the reason for the.
I mean, on, you know, other things with Mr. O'Dwyer.
Well, my issue is, how come the other lots down the road, the other businesses they let in,
We would have to explore that.
the tent,
Right.
that's what
That's what
I'm
I'm
asking.
asking.
But
That's
it
what
isn't
I'm
up to you guys to explore it, why can't that guy give me the answer?
Well, we'll explore that.
Mhm.
We'll find out
But
why.
why would you give, spot zone all these other places? Mine is at the industrial park, the industrial park is behind me. All I want is a good reason, tell me the reason why.
Well, I think he did.
It's,
He did not,
He said the
He will
lot,
not.
the
He's-
lot is undersized.
That's right.
but he said the lot is undersized, and the way he's at the board, it's undersized, this here's what it is. I'm gonna go by whatever the county says, he says. The board can override the county. You think the county will let all these others in? If it was
So
undersized
then
by
is
200
it the
foot?
county then, or?
He said the county.
All right.
All right, so the board can override the county.
Yes.
All right, he must have override the county for those other ones on 420 that just came up in the past 6, 7 years.
We're not really sure.
All right, you're not sure, but that's why that man should be right here to answer the questions. He should be off the board,
But they're saying we're gonna look into that.
and he won't even look up to him,
I'll-
and he's the head man.
I'll tell you, we can talk about this till the cows come home.
Mhm.
But here, I think we need to look at the process for applying for either the planning board or the zoning board. And if we have a process clear, everybody who comes through the door is treated the same way. Nobody in the office gives any opinions, because their opinions don't matter, quite frankly, no offense to the people in the office. The boards make the decision. So I think we need to look at the entire process to make sure that we're applying the same rules to everybody. And the one thing that I'll agree, there may be more, but the one thing I'll agree with publicly is that I believe you should have been able to get your money back when you went to the planning board. Did you ask for it back? I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
said this year, they got me 2 times.
Yeah, well, you certainly should get refunded for the planning board because it was before the wrong board.
Yeah, all I said, they
And-
waited, made me go to it, they could call me on the phone.
Well, that's the other thing I agree with, that if it had been rejected once before, you should have been told, this was rejected once before, we're not even here before the board because it's already been rejected once.
Mhm.
There should have been a meeting of the board a second time, in my opinion, if it had already been ruled on.
That's why I wanted to talk to him, and he
I
would not talk to me on it.
I understand that.
And if he's in that position, he should be there to talk to me, say, hey, look, take one of the offices, here's what the problem was, Tim. You know what, I'll accept it, because I accepted it when I bought it, because I knew it was a problem. But then I saw everybody else getting it, so I thought, oh, shit, if they're getting a pot,
Well,
why can't I?
I think that's a good point. I think
Yeah.
that we should write
Yeah.
a policy on what to do.
And it should be very clear. One of
Should
the
be
things
also
we-
slimline, so it's not
Right.
all this running around and.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think, he should be calling the chairman of the different board.
Well, and as, I think it was my secretary said to me, we should have one office with one person in there that does code enforcement, everything else, where it's a one-stop thing if you wanna do, if you have a project. And we sorta have that, but we don't, because we've got
I
different
think
boards
there
involved.
can be some things done.
I think we can improve some of that, yes.
Steve, you don't think that I should be able to ask the chairman of that board a reason why?
Oh, don't say that at all.
Oh, that's what I just thought, what you just,
No.
I thought that's what you said.
That's what it sounded
No,
like.
no,
That's
I'm
what it
sorry.
sounded
What
like.
I meant was, you shouldn't have to, he shouldn't have to call these chairmen to set up a meeting,
Mhm.
to have,
Right.
you know, have the
He
meeting.
should.
That should be, it's set up by
He did.
statute. When they meet.
Supervisor Gray called the meeting, I mean, he called them guys for a meeting, and they refused him.
Oh, this, yeah.
I
They
can't
refused
believe
him.
it.
They did.
Who would ever?
So I said, don't they know who I think
Two
I am?
times. They were supposed to be here at this meeting.
The board.
They were supposed to be
That's
here at
it,
this
I want you to
meeting.
cut their salary.
Well,
So
I think you gotta change the
Mr.
position.
Supervisor, I
And it's-
think we owe it to Mr. Arguer that we look into his situation, because we can debate this all night.
I agree.
And
No,
get
I
him an
agree.
answer.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I think you should have those people
Good
here.
point, Tom.
I'll go for another meeting. I wanna see them face to face. Get them here.
I think the supervisor, I think he'll
He can't.
take
They
care of
already
that.
told him no.
If-
Well, he's got the right to be, he's got the ability to change that.
If the entire board, if I could send
You're
an
not
email
here.
saying that the entire town board wants them to come to a meeting, I'll do that.
You run the day-to-day operation, sir.
But if this entire board feels there should be a meeting, then I'll pass that on.
There's gotta be
I have
something,
no
because
more,
this
I
is
have no
wrong.
more authority on this
I
board
agree.
than any of you.
You know, you can tell me no, but don't give the other ones in. Give me the reason why you let this one win, give me the reason why you let that one win, give me the reason why this one.
Why don't we check?
Nobody's any different,
All right.
okay?
And a different contact than me might get better, a different result, I don't know, so we
So
can
apparently
figure
don't
that
listen
out.
to you, Supervisor
We'll
Gray.
figure that out. A lot of people don't, I'm used to that, so. Okay,
I got no
thank
comments.
you, thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Okay,
you, Tim.
Thanks.
next up, Linda McQuinn is here. Linda does, used to work for the town of Canton doing community development. She also has a business. She's a consultant, she can tell you more about it than I can. But I've asked her to talk, when I first joined this board, there was a local waterfront redevelopment plan in the process that involved the town of Louisville, the town of Messina, and the village of Messina. The town of Louisville decided, for whatever their reasons were, I don't remember, and I'm not gonna try to guess. The town of Louisville said, we don't wanna be involved we don't wanna continue with the local waterfront redevelopment plan. The village of Messina, and then I think the town board then sort of, I recommended we get out, and the town board at the time agreed. We then got out of the local LWRP, it's called for short. Then the village proceeded not long after to get out as well. So that plan sort of died on the shelf. They spent some time putting it together, it was never finished. The reason I don't like LWRPs is, although they're good, and they open the door for grant funding and things down the road, they're also very restrictive. There are rules that apply, and Linda knows a hell of a lot more about this than I can explain it better. There are rules that apply to areas impacted by the LWRP that limit some things that can happen in those areas. So there is also a waterfront revitalization program that's different than the LWRP. So I asked Linda to come here, tell us a little bit about that, and see if it's something we might be interested in doing to help with waterfront redevelopment. I would think in conjunction with the village, quite honestly. But Linda, you take over, I've talked too much already.
No, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. As part of what I've put together for this proposal for professional services, I did identify some introduction topics, and Mr. Gray, you did speak to that briefly, the prior work with the LWRP and the efforts with the town of Messina, which I'm not as familiar with as I am with other communities. But I did contact Barbara Kendall with the Department of State. I decided the best way to start this process would be to have a conversation with her and ask her those very questions. Could the town do a waterfront revitalization plan as opposed to the full-blown local waterfront revitalization plan? And as you indicated, the LWRP is much more onerous, and so as a result, communities oftentimes never get that pass-through resolution because you don't get the public buy-in. You don't get the people within your community feeling comfortable with this document so that they embrace it and want to use it. So she assured me that in fact, Messina could revisit this and they could do a waterfront revitalization plan. And So the current status, as I've indicated, might be something that this community would want to investigate. Would it be more likely for Messina to embrace a waterfront revitalization plan to help them with long-term development versus a local waterfront revitalization plan? In my opinion, I think you'd probably have greater success with the WRP in the case of Canton, the town of Canton, as you mentioned. In fact, they did go with a waterfront revitalization plan and have been able to use that as a springboard for many of the projects that they've done over the last 10 years. So it really has enabled them to apply for state funding. And as some of you may be aware, there is much more consolidation in terms of the grantsmanship efforts now. So the process for applying for Department of State funds has changed significantly from when this community and others might have applied probably 5 or 6 years ago. So before I discuss my proposed offer to the town board, I would like to direct your attention to the items at the very bottom of the sheet. The promotion topics for discussion. I will tell you that.
Can I interrupt you?
Absolutely.
Before we, I just want to make sure I understand. So the WRP has pluses as far as being able to access grant dollars, state dollars, leverage use, local projects to leverage some state money coming in.
That is correct.
But it's not as restrictive or as onerous, as you put it, as the LWRP.
That is correct.
So there are advantages but less disadvantages, fewer disadvantages.
I would
Or fewer
say
limitations, we won't call them disadvantages, fewer limitations.
Yes, that's
Okay.
a much better word.
Okay, all right.
Yes, and while we're on that topic, let me just mention that there is a interest now in some communities who did the WRP in parts of the state, where they establish the waterfront plan, they see its benefit, the community begins to see its benefit, and farther down the road, they decide, let's go back to the LWRP. But that's through the course of the community coming together, examining what the opportunities might be. They use the plan for a couple of years, and they decide to go forward with the LWRP. So I think, looking at it from the state perspective, they might have done it a bit better if they had urged communities to do a waterfront plan first and then consider the LWRP after a number of years of using the document. So, I know that the community is already doing a website, and you'll be able to use this as your springboard for, identifying the 3 rivers that are in your community and the fact that it's really the playground of the North Country. I don't think any other community in the county can say that you have these 3 rivers that are very, very special and important. And I know you're also using the QR codes for printed materials already in some of your items that I've seen, which is something that can be used with a smartphone. And younger people coming to Messina would definitely want to see that so that they can learn more about what is here. So I identify both billboards and blog posts and video audio links that might be opportunities for Messina to expand its reach, expand the opportunities that you identify your benefits to other visitors and recreation seekers, and maybe get them into Messina in that way. So going to my proposal for professional services, I have suggested that I could do work for the town of Messina for this creation of a waterfront plan at the rate of $50 per hour, which is comparable to the rate that I have provided to other communities. And I have offered a project cost for 100 hours to do this, not only the plan, but to conduct a visioning session, to create the consolidated funding application, and to help the community bring this plan to fruition. So, this is not a full, contract, because I would add more to it, but this is certainly a commencement of a dialogue if the town board is interested.
It's been done like 5 times in 10 years.
So, we could look to do a WRP for the rivers outside the village?
Yes.
Or would it make more, or would you recommend that we do it jointly with the village and do a WRP for all the, including downtown, all the rivers, including the village and all the rivers?
Barbara indicated that the town could do whatever they would like to do. She also suggested, and I've heard this from Department of State previously, including other municipalities. So that could include the village of Messina, but it also could include the town of Louisville, because the Grass River goes through the town of Louisville. And you might decide that the collaborative effort would be worth it. Certainly from the Department of State's perspective, I think they would look at your application very favorably, because you were including others, and you're trying to get the greatest, impact for the state dollars.
I'll also tell you that I was going through, trying to clean out some of the 7,000 emails in my inbox, as I was talking about earlier. And I found an email we all got from Chuck Raytie when he was cleaning, it was a former town council member. He was cleaning out his files at home, and he sent the old LWRP summary, I guess it was, to all of us. And I had forgotten about that, I just found it yesterday. So that may be a springboard if we decide to do something in the future, that we would haul that out, dust it off, and say what parts we like and what parts we don't like. But, anyway, that's, I didn't forward that to you before this meeting, because I just didn't get a chance, so.
That's fine. I had asked Barbara if Department of State had an electronic copy, and she was going to send one to me, but I've not seen it as of yet.
We have one. so.
Okay. Do you, Mr. Gray, do you remember precisely what the key element was that caused this to be derailed?
No,
Okay.
no idea.
Okay.
I had a brilliant idea when I had it at the time, but I have no idea what it is now.
Okay. I have no idea either, so I guess that.
And if I read it again, I don't know, Albert's got a better memory than I, what do you
No.
I don't remember why, there were limitations, I remember that, and, I don't know, I'd have to look at it
I
again.
think it was, can't, just died a natural death due to lack of funding. I think they applied for a grant.
No, I think there was still money left, actually, in the original grant, but we didn't use it all. Last I knew, Steve, I might be wrong on that, but I think the village still had some money left. I think it had to be returned to the department, like, it was like $7,000, it wasn't like a big amount of money, but I don't remember. Louisville didn't like what they saw, we didn't like what we saw, and apparently the village agreed, and so all three of us got out, within the course of maybe 6 months or a year, everybody got out, so.
My suggestion would be that, it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but I hear about 5,000 here, 10,000 there, 7,000 here. We're going into a budget time that's gonna be very difficult, and I think it could be discussed during those deliberations.
Yep.
And when we prioritize what we can afford and what we can't afford. But right now, this request should be part of the request that we receive at budget time, not now.
I have no problem with
That's
that.
one guy's opinion.
I just wanted Linda to come and talk to you all about what is involved here. There certainly will be room in the budget I proposed to the town council to cover things like this, but, and we can decide that when we get to budget time. So, anything else? Any other questions?
Do you
Thank you.
do you intend to discuss this with Louisville, the Village of Messina?
If you want me to, I can do that.
Louisville, maybe Norfolk, I don't know.
If you want me to, I can do that.
I mean, it just does make
You know,
greater sense
Norfolk,
that-
Norfolk won't fit in because the rivers don't flow through there, but.
doesn't the racket.
Oh, no, the racket, you're right, no, you're right, the racket does, yeah, I'm thinking the grass.
It doesn't, I mean, the state is definitely looking for consolidation and all that thing, and I think Linda was right on speaking that if we show that surrounding areas are joining in, it might be a better package together for the state.
Yeah, we can take a look at that.
So to go past your $5,000 budget, these promotional topics for discussion, billboards, website, QR codes for printed materials, blog post, video, where does that money come from? Is that,
That, I was not anticipating that that would be part of my services. I was simply suggesting that since the town of Messina is already doing some of these, they might want to consider other components as a way to continue the recreational outreach efforts. Because it's evident that, the community has a very good opportunity in place already for fishing, for tourism, for community development, and I think adding a couple of things might give you, greater opportunity for investment. Not only for people coming into the area, but niche businesses being created as a result of the increase in traffic flow and the increase in fishing and shopping.
so basically you would guide us into what we should do, and then we have to come up with the money to proceed from
I
there.
would be happy to do that, yes.
And there may be, and if we had a plan in place, there may be funding available to do some of this stuff.
Yes, one thing that the town board might want to consider with the upcoming consolidation funding application in usually April or May,
Yeah.
there's a 60-day window to make application for funds. So if this board decided there were things that you wanted to apply for at that time, that would certainly be the point at which you would start grant applications.
One of the things that Don Meiser has talked to me about, and he keeps wanting to drag me to Sandy Creek, and although I'd love to go to Sandy Creek, we haven't done it yet, is that Sandy Creek has established kiosks, I guess, for lack of a better word, where you can go with a QR code with a smartphone, download the information, but it also will tell you about what fish species are available right there, what other amenities that are right there. So if we looked at something like that, you know, I'm thinking about the boat launch that we now have across from the old Alcoa East plant. Gets a lot of traffic from what I'm being told, a lot of use. We could have something there, interpretive signs there. And there are other spots, I think, along the river, although we don't have as much public access as I'd like to those rivers, there is indeed some. You have Springs Park, you have that canoe access. You have some public access to the grass here at Springs Park. So that's something, you know, he keeps saying to me, Joe, we should be doing this stuff in Messina. And yeah, all it takes is some money and some effort. So I think we can get the effort, we just gotta get the money. So anyway.
So would you be involved in the grant writing as well, or would,
I certainly could do that.
you have, you've been successful before and?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I did grant writing for the town of Canton for the last 11 years, yes, and almost all of them were successful.
And typically, Linda, when you write a grant for someone like that, there's a line in the grant to pay your expenses, correct? On the back end, as a manager, or not necessarily?
You could write it like that. With some of the prior applications, there was in-kind contributions that were allocated from the community.
Okay.
And so those could count toward the
Okay.
grant. And with Department of State, it's typically a 50-50 split.
Okay. Doris, did you have something? You on that?
We're always talking about bringing in other communities into this. I can see that to a degree, but Messina is the place that's losing the company. This is the place where the unemployment is, you know.
Yeah.
Messina, like that gentleman said, there's a lot of talk in Messina. People don't want to come to the meetings because they feel they're neglected. They, you know, the boards don't listen to them.
I don't think that's true of this board, but if people
No,
feel that way, I can't control it.
but there are boards where
That could be, yeah.
they're not, you know, the people don't, they voice their opinion, but they get shoved off.
Okay. Anything else for Linda?
The Department of State, they still have the Northern Border Grant, that's still an ongoing thing, or?
I believe that it is still.
Okay, that hasn't been utilized much either, has it?
No.
Northern Border is federal, I think, though, Sam, isn't it?
No, Department of State.
New York State Department of State, is it?
Beach Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah. Okay. Linda, thanks so much.
Thank you, Linda.
And,
Thank you.
we're moving into budget discussion in the next few weeks, so
Okay.
then we'll
Thank
revisit
you.
this. All right,
Thank you.
good. Next up, airport fees. I think I had sent you an email, that kind of showed you what, Saranac Lake is doing, and what have I done with that? That's not it. They have a pretty extensive fee schedule, for their airport. We don't charge any landing fees right now. We don't charge any other fees, pretty much. What they do there is a landing fee, depending on the size of the plane. They also, if you wanna keep your plane overnight on the ramp, you pay a fee for that. Typically, they will waive fees if you buy a certain amount of fuel. I think we need to move toward, we need to actually act on, I believe, some kind of fee for the airport, just to bring some additional revenue in there. We had, UPS flew in there all summer, while Potsdam was shut down, we had no fees for that. So,
Joe, we do get from Cape Air.
yes, we do, that's true, we get a passenger fee from Cape Air, we get a
No,
$50 landing fee.
landing fee.
$50
We get
landing fee.
passenger fee as well.
That's right, passenger fee as well.
But landing fee is $50.
Right, we do get that from Cape Air, you're right, but no one else. The key, when we're talking to, like Pat Hazinski from CNS, is that, and the guy from Saranac Lake says the same thing, right? You have to have a fee that's reasonable, and it doesn't discourage people from landing here. And so, they have a pretty extensive schedule based on the size of the plane, from anywhere from $14 to, I don't know, what's the top one, $500, $600, $800, I guess, is some of them.
Joe, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Is this something that Pat could write up for us, make a recommendation to this board, that in his opinion, in his study throughout the North Country, that would make sense for our fee, that we would not discourage for people to land here, and give us a proposal, what he thought would be a good proposal?
He has recommended for a long time. And there was, when Gary was supervisor, there was an airport advisory board comprised of the local airports. That's kind of gone by the wayside, but at the time, we seriously considered landing fees, and I think really the only thing you gotta do is start them at a fee that they can afford to pay, that we're not
That's what I'm saying.
don't be penny wise, pound foolish, and drive them away so that they don't come here. But everybody has told us that we should be charging landing fees.
And that's what I'm thinking that Pat could put together for us, that
He might have done it.
Oh, did he? Okay, might have
You
done
can
it.
ask
We
him,
can
but I
revisit
think
it with him.
at one point in time, he did it.
Could you do that, Joe, or?
Sure.
Talk to him?
I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, it puts us off for another month, but okay, we can do that.
What, did you have something in mind right now, or?
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't have specific numbers, I think we start at, I think we start at $50
You guys get
Oh,
I didn't get the email.
I didn't get an email.
for this whole thing.
No, we didn't get it, Joe.
All right, well, we're gonna have to wait a month then, I'll send this to you.
Okay.
This is the spreadsheet that they have together with all their fees. And, and then over here lists all the planes, right? I don't even know what the hell some of these planes are, but,
Well, most of them would be with the equestrian show.
well, not necessarily, there's a lot of Cessnas,
Skiing and stuff like that.
yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. And I think it's based on weight, is how their fees are assessed.
Okay.
So what a plane weighs is where they come up with the numbers. And again, they're all over the board. They go from, as I said, $14 for one, and then another one, that was a ramp fee, or the RON fee, as they call it. And I think the top end is $500 for a Boeing 757. I don't think we have a lot of those. but you never know.
I don't think they do either.
No, probably not.
Do they get
All right.
with their annual